I Kill Giants is a fantasy drama that follows the journey of a troubled young girl named Barbara Thorson who navigates her inner struggles by diving into a vivid world filled with monsters and magic. The film intricately examines themes such as grief, escapism, courage, and the tenuous line that separates reality from fantasy. Barbara, an eccentric and fiercely independent teenager, resides in a coastal town. Characterized by her bunny ears and large leather satchel, she generally avoids social interactions. Her fixation lies in protecting her town from giant creatures she believes pose a threat. With relentless determination, Barbara creates traps in the woods, researches magical lore, and prepares for an imminent attack from the monstrous beings that only she perceives. At school, she endures bullying from her classmates due to her unusual behavior and frequently confronts authority figures like her teachers and school psychologist, Mrs. Mall. Underneath her abrasive exterior lies considerable intelligence and creativity. Barbara crafts intricate explanations for natural incidents, interpreting distant thunder as a herald of an approaching titan. To her, giants are tangible threats that must be confronted, and she relies on her makeshift warhammer, aptly named Kowieliski after the renowned baseball player Harry Kowieliski, affectionately known as the Giant Killer. This warhammer serves as a potent symbol of her struggle for control against the unpredictable forces in her life. Barbara lives with her older sister Karen and her brother. While Karen shoulders the heavy burden of adult responsibilities, working multiple jobs to sustain the family, she finds it challenging to connect with Barbara emotionally. Their relationship suffers as Karen grapples with maintaining order at home while Barbara retreats further into her emotional isolation. The narrative takes a significant turn with the arrival of Sophia, a new girl from Leeds who aspires to befriend Barbara. Sophia, polite and inquisitive, becomes intrigued by Barbara's unique personality. Their friendship slowly blossoms as Barbara begins to share snippets of her giant hunting rituals. Sophia's presence offers a grounding influence, subtly challenging Barbara's rigid beliefs while respecting her fantastical worldview. Concurrently, Mrs. Mall seeks to help Barbara through therapy, trying to uncover the roots of her behavioral issues. She suspects that Barbara's imaginary world is a psychological defense mechanism forged in response to deeper trauma. However, Barbara remains defensive and distrustful during their sessions, often becoming hostile. She clings to her belief that the giants are real and that she alone is capable of safeguarding the town from danger, illustrating her desperate need to assert control over her chaotic life. Through these dynamics, I Kill Giants poignantly explores the complexities of childhood trauma and the ways in which imagination can both liberate and confine. As the film unfolds, the distinction between fantasy and reality increasingly dissolves, particularly for the protagonist Barbara. She experiences vivid and frightening encounters with various monstrous entities, including ghostly apparitions and a looming shadowy titan which invade her dreams and haunt the coastal landscape. These visually captivating and intense sequences employ CGI alongside dark fantasy elements, heightening the tension as Barbara braces herself for an ultimate showdown with the most formidable giant, the Titan. In her everyday life at school, conflicts with her bullies reach a boiling point. When they humiliate her friend Sophia, mistakenly believing she has betrayed Barbara's trust, Barbara reacts impulsively, pushing Sophia away and deepening her isolation. As her obsession with the Titan grows, she crafts increasingly elaborate traps in the woods fixated on signs indicating the Titan's proximity. This erratic behavior raises concerns, leading even Sophia to question Barbara's grasp on reality. The emotional turning point occurs when Mrs. Mall, Barbara's teacher, confronts her about the underlying issues driving her obsession with giants. She reveals that Barbara's fixation is a subconscious coping mechanism to distract herself from the pain of her mother's terminal illness. Unable to accept her mother's impending death, Barbara constructs a fantasy where she wields power. Defeating giants becomes a metaphor for conquering mortality. Initially, Barbara reacts with anger and denial, storming away as her fabricated world begins to crack under pressure. In a poignant and symbolic moment, Barbara ventures into the stormy woods to face the Titan. This colossal ancient being symbolizes darkness, inevitability, and grief. Rather than engaging in battle, the Titan speaks to Barbara, revealing itself not as an enemy but as an unavoidable force representative of her anguish and mortality's harsh reality. This confrontation catalyzes Barbara's journey toward acceptance, transforming her understanding of her struggles. Upon returning home, Barbara confronts her reality for the first time, finally ascending the stairs to her mother's room, an emotional space she has consistently avoided. Their interaction is both tender and heartbreaking as Barbara opens herself to the emotions she had previously suppressed, allowing her love for her mother to surface. Following her mother's death, Barbara begins the healing process. Her relationship with her sister Karen improves and her friendship with Sophia strengthens. She no longer conceals herself behind the fantastical imagery of giants. Instead, she recognizes them as metaphors for the challenges and fears inherent in life. A sense of grounding replaces her previously defensive fantasy armor, and she emerges with a clearer understanding of the complex interplay between fantasy and reality. The film culminates with Barbara reflecting on the nature of bravery, asserting that giants exist not just as literal monsters but as the fears and emotional challenges one must face. Her journey, intricately tied to themes of growing up, coping with loss, and harnessing the strength to confront painful truths, symbolizes a deeper narrative about resilience and self-discovery. Through this lens, I Kill Giants masterfully fuses elements of fantasy with emotional realism, illustrating a young girl's battle with grief in a compassionate and imaginative manner. The giants in Barbara's world do not manifest as physical threats, instead they represent her internal struggles and personal demons. The essence of Barbara's triumph lies in her ability to not only face these giants but to come to terms with the pain and sorrow they signify. The film delves into the profound explorations of trauma and the duality of imagination, highlighting how it can serve as both a formidable weapon and a protective shield against life's harsh realities. Set in a quiet coastal town, the story centers on Barbara Thorson, a unique and fiercely independent girl who immerses herself in her fantastical world. Her life is dominated by her obsession with giants, monstrous invisible beings that she believes threaten her community. Adorned with bunny ears and wielding a homemade warhammer named Kovileski, Barbara remains in a constant state of vigilance. She sets traps in the surrounding woods, monitors the sky for signs of danger, and meticulously documents her observations in a notebook, straining her relationships with her peers who ridicule her eccentric behavior. Barbara also grapples with a tumultuous home life. Residing with her older sister Karen, who acts as the primary caretaker for Barbara and their brother, the dynamic is fraught with tension. Karen's exhaustion from familial responsibilities leaves her struggling to connect with the increasingly reclusive Barbara. Notably, Barbara avoids their mother's bedroom, hinting at unresolved emotional wounds that she is reluctant to confront. The arrival of a new girl, Sophia, from England begins to shift Barbara's isolated existence. Sophia, characterized by her friendliness and open-minded attitude, approaches Barbara with curiosity about her unique perspective. Initially cautious and wary of betrayal, Barbara gradually opens up to Sophia, sharing the vivid myths surrounding her giant hunting mission. She explains the giants' nature, asserting that they thrive on fear and exploit vulnerabilities, emphasizing her self-appointed duty to protect those around her. Ultimately, I Kill Giants resonates as a nuanced portrayal of emotional and psychological battles, reminding audiences that true bravery lies in embracing one's vulnerabilities and navigating through the complexities of growing up. A profound moment of reckoning for Barbara. As she stands before the Titan, she is filled with fear but also a sense of determination. The storm rages around them, symbolizing the turmoil within her. Rather than succumbing to her dread, Barbara begins to confront the true nature of her fears. The Titan, a manifestation of everything she has been running from and fighting against, becomes a reflection of her own inner struggles and insecurities. In this climactic encounter, Barbara realizes that the Titan is not just a giant but embodies her feelings of isolation, anger, and the overwhelming weight of her anxieties. Instead of using her traps or weapons against it, she chooses to engage with the Titan through understanding and acceptance. This shift in perspective transforms the confrontation into a dialogue where Barbara expresses her fears and ultimately seeks to understand what the Titan represents in her life. Through this exchange, Barbara begins to grasp that the giants she believes in are rooted not in reality but in her own emotional experiences. The illusions start to dissolve as she recognizes that she has the power to change her relationship with her fears. The storm gradually calms, reflecting her newfound clarity and strength. The Titan's imposing form begins to shrink and fade away, signifying that her fears can be diminished by confronting and experiencing them rather than avoiding them. After this transformative moment, Barbara's sense of isolation begins to lift. She seeks a reconnection with Sophia, realizing that the bond of friendship can be a source of strength and support. She learns to communicate openly about her fears and experiences, leading to a deeper understanding between them. This newfound relationship helps Barbara re-enter the world with a different perspective, no longer defined by her battle against imagined giants but instead empowered by her ability to face her reality. As the school year progresses, Barbara continues to navigate her challenges but now learns to do so with a more balanced approach. She shares her experiences with Mrs. Mall, who helps her further process her feelings and reinforces the idea that confronting fears can be a path to healing. Through her journey, Barbara emerges not just as a survivor of bullying but as an advocate for her mental health, finding strength in both vulnerability and the connections she forges with others. The story culminates in a message of resilience, the power of understanding oneself, and the importance of supportive relationships in overcoming life's challenges. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.